Oh, hello, I'm Terrydavidmulligan, and this is the Terrydavidmulligan YouTube channel. Trust me, we spent many beers trying to figure out a better name, something splashy and memorable. We eventually just went to bed and thought, okay, we'll call it Terrydavidmulligan. That's it. I'll tell you, I've got two great friends here, Jim Cuddy and Greg Keelor. If you're a Canadian, you know who they are because they're the lead singers and the co-writers and leaders of one of the best bands Canada has ever produced, bar none, Blue Rodeo. They are celebrating their 40 years together, 40th anniversary, and they're doing 40 dates across the country. Everybody's going to get a chance to see them. And they finish with 2 dates at Massey Hall in Toronto. They'll be sold out. They'll be rapturous. Hopefully they'll record them. That's what we need is another Blue Rodeo concert at Massey Hall. You have to capture it somehow, some way. We can't possibly cover 40 years in 30 minutes here and 30 minutes there. So I'm just did the best I could. That's all. They're friends. We took some liberties. My thanks to their teams for giving us permission to do this and putting some videos in and just basically playing music. So I thank them, both Jim and Greg. Thank Corey Wood, the associate producer of this particular podcast, both the podcast and the video version, and the stew as well. And so we're going to start with Jim, and then there'll be a break. I'll come back and reintroduce myself just to remind you what you heard and where we're going. We're going to start with Jim Cuddy and follow with Greg Keelor. This is celebrating 40 years of Blue Rodeo on the TDM YouTube channel. Thank you. I'm Terrydavidmulligan. This is Mulligan Stew, CKUA Radio, and the Mulligan Stew podcast. I finally found Jim Cuddy after stalking him for a couple of minutes. I found you where?
Yeah, I don't think it's really stalking if it's a couple of minutes. You found me I'm in Kelowna, and we're playing in Kelowna tomorrow night.
I've been stalking you for 40 years.
I don't know about that. I think for the first 10 we stalked you, and then you took notice, and then a little bit of counter stalking.
Let me just first of all, are you well? You okay?
Yeah, everything's great. Everything's great. We're just embarking on this 40th anniversary tour, so we're sort of at 38 or 39 shows, not done, but I said to Susan, our manager, you got to make it 40 shows. You can't stop at 38. So we've got 39 now. We got one other, but we're just 7 shows in. So it's been glorious.
Yes, you've been doing the Far West, and now you're going to work your way back east. And it's really an amazing tour list, ending with 2 nights, of course, at Massey Hall.
Right. The most amazing thing is that there are so many people that come to see us. I mean, we're pretty moved every night by the size of the crowd, the enthusiasm, the faces that we see over and over again. We always strive to do better each tour, and we have done some patterning on this tour to make it interesting. But it's just still so moving to see everybody that comes out after all these years.
You and Greg told me the story of the last time you went to Mariposa. You were wondering as you looked out at the crowd, and then when you walked out, how old they were they new audiences, were there families with their kids coming? And I remember the lightness in your voice. I could tell that you were impressed with the actual gig and the people there, and the fact that they had made room for you.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way of putting it. Make room for us. Last night there were 3 women in the front row that were singing all the songs, and I think that Adam Baldwin, who's touring with us, I think he's bringing out some younger people, but these women knew the songs, and they were probably, I would say they were early 20s, if that, maybe 20. And to know, obviously people come to know us through their parents, and then I met somebody in the lobby today that, we go through and we say to the audiences, do you remember the first gig we did here, the first gig? And it's kind of funny because the one we did in Edmonton was Andantes. That was the first one. And there, over 2 nights at the Jubilee, not a single person went, yeah, I was there. Nothing. And it's a big deal. But I met somebody in the lobby here today that said, I first saw you at the Student Union in Edmonton, University of Alberta. So I'm like, okay, that was a step too. That would have been sort of almost cafeteria like, just set up on the stairs and everybody around. It's probably free for them. So it's been fun to revisit in our minds and perhaps with some of the audience, some of the original places we played. You know?
I wonder. I mean, when you walk, for example, when you walk out on stage at Massey Hall, there's so many emotions come at you, but somewhere during the course of the concert, you might flash back on the first time you played Toronto or the environs, and remember what it was like to be looking for an audience.
Well, you know what? I think that it's strangely, when we came back from New York and we put Blue Rodeo together,
Yeah.
our very first, and we were, we put together the band with Basil Donovan and Cleve Anderson, who had been in the Sharks, that were a very popular band. Our very first gig was full at the Rivoli. So we didn't have that searching for an audience time in Toronto. We were a bar band and we were pretty popular right from the beginning. And going back to the first time we made the leap to Massey Hall, we were very conflicted because we had created ourselves as a bar band. We were a really good bar band.
Yeah.
And we really liked that whole idea of like having the bar record, Dave Wilcox would go around. He'd always have the record. Maybe we'd come close or sometimes beat it, not often. And then, when we played Massey Hall, then you lost a few fans that felt like you were no longer their band. And so it was a little conflicted, which is not the same as other cities, because other cities were, wow, we got an invitation to play the Middle Deck in Halifax or Andantes in Edmonton or the Savoy and the Railway Club in Vancouver. And that was thrilling to think, I don't know, who knows us in these cities?
Jim Cuddy, Blue Rodeo. We're going to try to find Greg at some point if he'll talk to us, if he'll have us. You know how radio and television to a certain extent, and the music business in general, tries to pigeonhole you. They feel so much better if they know that you're a round hole and a round object in a round hole, and I wonder how many different configurations you've gone through. You're still the same band, but our view of who you are as a business. How many different things have they called you in terms of description?
Well, that's an interesting thing too that I haven't really talked about a lot, but I think it really matters in Canada. So when we started, obviously Try was the first song that was our entrance to pop rock radio. But because Much Music played our video and Much Music played all types of videos at the same time, it didn't categorize bands like us. It just said, this is a band, you might like them. It was much more critical. I mean, we've always said that Canadian audiences were never had a problem with two singers with two different styles.
Yeah.
Never had a problem with the melange of styles we did, a little country, a little rock, some improvisational stuff. Never had a problem. When we go to the States, it was always a problem. It was always a problem that you need to define what you are for people. And we never really had, I mean, we might have had that with radio stations, but never with Much Music. And frankly, there was a time when we put out, so when we had the record Casino, which was our third record, and we were pretty popular by this point, and we put out the single Till I Am Myself Again. And I remember going up to the record company to do something, and Kim Clark came in and said, we're now on every single radio station that will play music in Canada. And he showed us the chart, and that was easy listening, country, rock. So, there was a point at which we overwhelmed the categorization. And then, of course, it changed. I mean, Much Music switched to much more and everything. So it went back to a little bit more niche. But we had that time where Canadian music was just thought of as Canadian music, and didn't really matter that Rush was different than 5440, than Katie Lang, than Blue Rodeo. So those were the halcyon days.
How do you like the fact that Rush is going to tour?
I love it. I know Getty a bit, and I know that he's been chomping at the bit to play since it's over. And I think it's so great. And I like the fact they went, we're just going to do 12 shows. Then 48 hours later, we're just going to do 22 shows, and we're going to do 26, and that's it. It's like that Steve Martin thing in The Jerk. This is all I need, and I can't imagine. I mean, it'll be so amazing for their fans to see them back, and that drummer sounds. What is it? Anika Niels. Anika Niels sounds so amazing. So they'll be so great, and their fans will just love it. I think they'll get so many offers. I wonder what they'll do.
They had the Spinal Tap moment with their drummer auditions. Actually, she had already they'd heard her, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
Drummers are all bent out of shape. You need a guy. No, you don't. You need a drummer.
No, that's right.
Let me get up to speed on a couple of things. How many different vinyl greatest hits things are there? There's two.
You're mocking us. You're mocking. I believe that there's two greatest hits, and then there's two songs seldom heard. And so those are the ones that are maybe album cuts or things that were overlooked. And those were the first one, I think, were chosen by the group and some of the record company. But the second one was chosen by the band. Susan, our manager, just asked all the band members to pick two songs they'd like to hear that they don't hear enough or that we don't play.
Okay.
So I don't know, it's kind of cool.
It's a democracy then.
Yeah, and I hate that.
Yeah.
I love democracy, but not in the band.
Not in the band.
Please, not in the band. This is it's a one-shot deal.
How do you properly celebrate and honor 40 years of doing any one thing well and getting better at it and not dragging your ass through the weeds? How do you settle that in your mind and live with it? I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
I will deflect that back to you, because what we all do is we've learned this craft.
Yeah.
You've learned the craft of radio hosting and gathering the arts together and commenting on them. And I doubt that you feel at the beginning of each show like, oh my God, here we go again.
Never.
I think you feel like we have a standard to achieve here, and we set out always on these tours. It's not like the summer. The summer we have fun. We go out and play, have fun, get people going. But the theater tours, you design a show, and you always put some challenges in there for you. Like we have a acoustic set in the middle that was challenging because it's so naked. It's like, there you go. You better sing this song well, and you better do the harmonies well. Everybody plays well. So we always create some kind of difficulty for ourselves, something to achieve, and every night feels like the first time. It's not a well-worn road, even though it is. It's like going out on that stage. You still have to do it well at the end. And sometimes when we're playing, I'm getting older, so it's more easy to get emotional. And there's sometimes when I'm playing a song and I can feel myself getting a little choked up, and either thinking about the past or thinking about the meaning of the song or decisions we made. And you got to get by that, because you can't sing when you're choked up. It's the worst thing. And it's so obvious to the audience when you but I think that there are times during the show when I take myself out of my working mode and look down and think, wow, this is not a life I ever imagined.
Do we have to represent all 40 decades in the song structure?
40 decades would be amazing, but 40 years, it's a little more accomplishable. We just picked songs that we definitely have songs from the first record, and we definitely have songs from the second record, and we have songs that we never did well and didn't record well, and then we brought that out. God and Country is one of those, and we chose those songs because of their vibe. But God and Country, Nice Try, It Could Happen to You, which comes and goes because of the length of the set. They are so relevant right now in terms of messaging, and it's also a pleasure to play them for that reason.
I got to tell you, I'm totally Jim Cuddy, by the Blue Rodeo. I'm totally bummed that I didn't make it into the Blue Rodeo documentary.
Did they interview you?
No. And none of the interviews that I ever did. I mean, I'm all over Lilith Fair. Oh yes, please
Right.
and thank you.
Right. Right.
But no, I didn't get into that.
Well, all I can say is that we were uh, interviewees. We were being interviewed.
Sure.
So we accepted the idea of making a documentary, and then we were guided by the company. So I think that there are always in a I can't remember how long the documentary is, but in a relatively short piece, there were band members that wouldn't have minded a bit more representation. So that's all I can say. You can stand in the complaint line's right over there.
No,
Why don't you get in
I'll
it?
take a ticket. Yes, okay.
Take a ticket.
Yeah. So now, are they calling out song title to you when you get on stage? They still do this?
No, no. People yell stuff, but no, not really. First of all, everybody knows all the songs you're going to play before you come out.
Have you done the Elvis Costello wheel? He spins the wheel.
It would be fun. It would be fun to do that. But that's more a summertime thing. I think that we're trying to put on a dramatic performance.
Wow.
So I think that sounds like summertime fun with the wheel. But no, people are not yelling stuff out, but they are reacting to songs that they have not expected to hear over the years. But like I said, they even know when it's coming.
What do you open with?
We open with a song called How Long from our second record.
What do you close with?
Lost Together. We're touring with Adam Baldwin, and I trust that all your listeners are aware of him. He's a fantastic singer from the East Coast, and he does a really spirited, almost East Coasty version of the second verse. I stand before this faceless crowd. I was like, oh man. So it's one of the most enjoyable things of our set. We always get the whoever's playing with us to come and sing the second verse, and everybody has very different interpretations. This is the first one we've had that's been quite so salty, and he's great. He's really great.
Is there one tune that brings you to tears, or just lifts your heart?
Yeah, sometimes bad timing does it to me, and I do a song about my dad called Finger Lakes, and sometimes that gets to me. Even though it's about a funny incident, it still sometimes chokes me up. But it's not a good place to go when you're, I think it's more. It can be specific to the song, but it can also be specific to thinking that, my career as a musician is coincidental with my marriage, and so all those years, and I'm thinking, here I am away again, and I talked to her on the phone, and it's so, she's so nice, and again, you can't go down that road, otherwise you render yourself incapable of singing.
Hey Jim, I just saw something in passing, something about a brewer at Mill Street Brewery. Did you guys do that this summer? You made beer with them?
We did a beer with them. We did a kind of a European Pilsner with them. They're great. They do a lot of, and then we did a little gig down. I don't know, probably where you were all summer. You didn't get this extreme heat. No. We had extreme heat in Toronto, and we did about 3 gigs in a row that were fainting hot. And one of them was the Mill Street down in the Distillery District, which is a kind of a renovated, rehabbed old distillery area, brick buildings, and we did a little free concert to launch the beer, and the sun was in our faces, and after 5 songs it was all we could do. It was such a hot gig. Anyway, yeah, we have a beer, we have a stamp and the postal strike, and then we have the beer. Yeah, got it all. We got it all.
Did you take in any of the Blue Jays games?
I did take a few in, and I do have a small share of some season ticket holders. So my son went to one of the he went to the second game in Toronto.
Nice.
Yeah, the whole thing's been so exciting. I truly, when we have people on the crew that are really, really into the Blue Jays. So we have we have TVs all around,
sure,
because it's all during sound check time. But when they just just gradually ground out that win in New York, it was so exciting because that was the way to do it. The way was to defeat their best players playing well.
Yeah.
And in New York. It couldn't have been better.
I thought about, just as an aside, there may be no answer to this. When the whole elbows up thing happened and all that rhetoric was spilling across the border, how did you feel about it? Did it affect anything did it change what you know your immediate world to be?
It certainly changed my world, and I pretty much became a staunch defender of the stopping from buying American products. And I feel badly for California because I feel like California is fighting the fight against the neo-fascist regime, whether people like that or not. That is what they're supporting, and I feel badly for them, and yet I cannot bring myself to drink California wine. I came up, first night of the tour, there was a bottle of bourbon, and I said, "You got to get rid of that bourbon. I'm sorry, we're not doing this. We're just not." And if you all have a problem with that, then you can buy some and put it in your luggage. But I'm not doing it, and I'm the boss here. So it's a horrible thing. I found during the Jimmy Kimmel incident that the hatefulness, the spittle, the vulgarity coming from the administration was so disheartening. And his comeback monologue was so beautiful. Yeah. It was communal, it was humble, it was loving, it was kind. It was everything that humanity needs, and everything coming from the administration was what humanity does not need. So it was a very moving week. And my wife and I also, just to ramble on here, my wife and I just came back from Japan because we have a big birthday this year, so we do a big trip. The level of civility in that country and kindness and what they offer each other in terms of this civilized agreement, it's just so moving. And I come back to this country, I think we need to keep that. We need to not allow the vulgarity into our public world. We need to recognize it. People have their own way of thinking. That's fine. We do not need to name call, to spit hatred. We don't need that. It affected me a little bit.
There you go. There's a song or two there.
Oh yeah.
By the way, I went looking for all things Blue Rodeo on my computer, and I came across this email from Jen. I'll just give the first name. My husband Scott and I listen every Saturday to CKUA all the way through the runs, all the shows, and for instance, Holger Peterson and myself and Lionel and on into the night. And it says, CKUA is so important for so many reasons, but my main reason is music is life, in capital letters. Music is life. I listen to CKUA at work, and it makes my day so very much better. I love a variety of stories and songs. Could you please play I Think About You by Blue Rodeo? It's one of the only songs my husband will dance with me to.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So that's Jen.
So sweet. That's so sweet. Well, thanks, Jen. And I love that song. And that's definitely my situation on the road where I feel like, what am I doing? I mean, I don't feel like, what am I doing? I know what I'm doing. But to be away all the time is tough. But I get a lot of people coming up to me and saying, your music makes me so happy. So it's not just me. It's just music. Like I said, music is life. And because I think you do too, because we live in the world of music, there's never the threat that it's being taken away or we have to do something without it. And when people come up, I'm reminded how important music is to me and how elevating music is and how comforting it is. Yeah. Healing for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. I listen, those 40 years that you've been making music, I've been doing this. It's a blur, a complete blur. And I can remember bits and pieces. Strangely enough, I can remember Mustafa Bouazi, who ran a booth in the main square in Marrakesh, Morocco. And why would I remember his name? How is it possible? I never wrote down his name. I can still remember Mustafa Bouazi. Anyway, I can't remember my own phone number. It's a blur. Have you been able to unblur your 40 years, or is it, what is it?
Well, I certainly have been able to unblur it. I mean, doing the documentary was unblurring, and it also made me realize that I have a tendency to suppress the difficult times and just think about the good times, because obviously we had to go over all the times we were banned, and some of them were very difficult. So I think about it all. But I still think that the present is more impactful than thinking about the past. I love it. I love when we sit around and recall things, but usually we're making fun of somebody or recalling some ridiculous thing that happened to us. And that's fun. It's fun to have shared that with these other wonderful men. But there's always something ahead that is so, that requires so much attention. And I mean, right now I'm thinking about last night in Victoria, and I'm also thinking about Vancouver. Like Vancouver is a cool town, right? Wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah.
Cool people, love it. We've done the last 4 shows we've done in Vancouver. 3 of them have had major incidents in the front. Somebody getting thrown out, somebody going crazy. Till 2 nights ago was somebody. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but there's been incidents each night. And so I talk to people and they say, oh yeah, it happens all the time. So why Vancouver? Maybe you can tell me that. Why are people acting out in Vancouver at concerts?
I got to tell you that I don't know the immediate answer. I can tell you that it concerns me. I see it. I feel it.
It's a real thing.
Well, if you live there, you might not feel it or see it or make it part of your life. Those of us who come in and leave, and I go in once a month or once every 6 weeks, I can't wait to get out. I just can't wait to get out. There's an angst, there's an anger literally behind the wheel. You notice
that's
it.
interesting.
That's interesting. The way people drive, it's dangerous is what it is.
That's very interesting, because it's such a beautiful place to be. Yeah. It's such a beautiful place to be, and you have so many beautiful encounters. We had really wonderful shows, and we all scratch our head like, what's going on with Vancouver? We don't have incidents. Like, we don't have people fighting at our shows. Well, in Vancouver.
It's our turn.
You're trying to make yourself into a big, dirty city.
I have a 2-word question now. It's a big deal. It took me a long time to come up with this one.
Okay.
You've got a tour, 40 dates, 40th anniversary. Now what?
Oh, okay. That's good. Good question. I believe that is probably a persistent question with people. A friend of mine from Vancouver just sent me some kind of opinion piece on retirement. And I think it's missing the point. The point is that making music, and we're lucky enough to be able to make it for a living and to do these tours. But that's the essence of our lives. Yep. I mean, the production of our lives is our families and our friends, but just our work is this music. And so, as much as people, I think, people laugh at this, but I think that the reason we're doing such good business on this tour is people think that perhaps the end is near. They look at us like, I don't know, they're pretty old. I better go see them now. But I think that we're performing at a high level, and I think that we do it because this is what we're trained to do, and every moment is absorbing. I mean, we come off stage, you wouldn't believe the minutia we go over. That note was, I don't think you hit that note quite hard enough. Like, oh my God, but I think that that's part of staying, trying to maintain a level of excellence in your playing. I can't imagine a band like Rush, because it's very complicated music. Yeah. Ours is not complicated music, but it is a lot of elements. But there's a very complicated music. I wonder if they come off stage and go, I don't know, I blew it in the 4th bar of Tom Sawyer saying, "Oh yeah, I heard that. But I'm sure tomorrow will be better." I think that you're always striving to be better. I think I was listening to Colin. Colin Cripps is one of our guitar players, and Jimmy Boskill's the other. Boskill plays a lot of bluegrass, and Colin said, "Maybe we can get together tomorrow and you can show me a few of those licks." And I thought, that is so beautiful. I mean, that's a man who plays incredible guitar and has done for 50 some odd years, and he's looking for some other licks. So I think that what now is tomorrow night in Kelowna, and the what now bigger picture is more my family. I mean, I'm going to do music until I can't do music, and people like Paul McCartney and Paul Simon are definitely taking the bar up, So why not? Yeah, that'll be mine. Why not? Why not?
Why not? And the solo part, could you still maintain solo as well?
Yeah, I did. I tuck all these gigs in the middle. I did a Fort Saskatchewan gig that was really enjoyable. And then I have one at the end of the month. So yeah, I continue to do that. That's very enjoyable for me too.
No American dates?
We wouldn't do that now. No, I think that, every time I soften on that, the president says something so horrible about our country that I think, no, it would be silly. I mean, there are things I would do. So so there were things I would do, but no, we won't go to the States.
I had a nice conversation with Tara Lightfoot a couple of days ago, and she was talking about her mentors and mentioned you and Greg as being absolutely vital to her craft and how she writes songs, how she performs, and just her attitude about the music business. So there you go.
No, that's fantastic. She's fantastic. She's one of those people that when you present her and people don't know her, the first few notes, you can hear little gasps in the audience. Oh my God, what a voice.
Yeah.
What a style. Oh, she's just great. Great woman.
And so the second part of that commentary was that talking about mentorships. That's a legacy. You're passing a legacy on. Then what is the legacy of Blue Rodeo?
Well, as Susan said, it's still being written. But I think that, I'd like to think that because how we started on Queen Street with Handsome Ned, and there was a sense of collectivity. There was a sense that everybody was going to play together, was going to lend each other guitars, was going to come to each other's shows, maybe give each other work. I like to think that we carry that on, that we don't perpetuate a business in which it's every man for every woman, man for themselves. Sure. Yeah. And so that's one of the reasons that we really, we try to do a lot with whoever comes out and plays with us, opens for us. We try to bring them on stage to sing. We try to listen to them. A lot of things start to percolate. So I hope that our legacy is just that to create a community is more important than individual success.
Thank you, James. You've been doing this for 40 years, and just as good as I can remember this little baby you.
It's always a pleasure, Terry, talking to you. Thank you.
I will. I'll try to figure out how to find Greg. I think I might have a number here. But just tell him I'm coming.
I will. He'll be keen. He'll be keen.
And I'll follow your travels, and I'm really looking forward to those 2 nights in Massey Hall, just because it's a punchline, it's a rim shot, that's it.
I know.
My thanks to Jim Cuddy from Blue Rodeo for kicking off this celebration of 40 years of Blue Rodeo as a band, as an entity. They started to lead the charge quite a few years ago, just when Much Music came along, and they have maintained that status ever since. And as Jim mentions, there's 2 different Blue Rodeos. There's the one that goes out and does the summer shows, casual stuff. The rooms change, the pastures change, the top of mountains, out in the ocean, whatever. They do all sorts of gigs, folk festivals, whatever. But when they do controlled concerts with their name on them for 40 dates across the country like they're doing now, That's very serious. They take that very seriously. Everything is choreographed just to get it right. The music is perfect because that's the kind of people that they are. They want to get it right, and they're building a legacy. 40 years now. So thank you, Jim Cuddy. Now a conversation at home, if I'm not mistaken, with Greg Keelor, a pretty casual guy. You can hear him talk to his beloved, his lady, the love of his life, about the cat going to the veterinarian. I think the cat does a walkthrough as well. We'll see. Here's a completely different interview because he's a completely different guy, which is remarkable. Maybe that's the key to how they've been getting along for these 40 years, is that they're two different guys who come together and make music, and their voices match beautifully. Anyway, here's Greg Keelor at home. Thank you.
I think I've actually done interviews with you where you were peeved with each other, but having been on the road, and you become civil. Well, one of you does.
Actually, I don't think we've had any major headbutts for quite a while now, which is good for both of us. It's hard on our elderly constitutions.
Yeah, true. Because we all, at some point in our lives, we all become painfully aware that the days are dwindling. Some of us are older than others. And I'm just truly delighted to talk to you because at some point it'll be the last time. So I just bring that.
I keep on telling Jim we should our come on music for the show should be "This Could Be the Last Time" by the Stones.
Man, they ripped that tune off as well. Because Pop Staples has a song called "The Last Time," and it's really good. I love that Pop Staples guitar and stuff. Anyway.
I do too. It's such an amazing guitar sound. And I try to play with that tremolo, but I just can't pull it off like Pop Staples.
I think it takes a hollow body too, doesn't it?
Did he always play a hollow body? I'm not sure of that.
I can't remember. All I know is that I had one chance to do an interview with him, and I loved it. And my last question to Pop Staples was, "What's your legacy? What have you left us that we'll remember you?" And he started to answer, and then started to cry.
Oh,
tears rolling down his face, and he said, "I don't think I've done enough. I think I have so much more to do."
Oh, it's beautiful.
It was. We both ended up bawling our eyes up.
Yeah.
Now, what set this in motion, Greg, is first of all, thank you, and I hope you're well. That you're doing your 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
As you well know, I'm sure you got the memo. So let's focus in on that and see where it leads. All right, if you can, just for a second.
Yeah.
What was it? 40 years. Where did it start? Where can you actually look at a calendar and say this is the date it started?
Well, I think I would go beyond the band, and I would think it's Jim and I connecting in high school.
Yeah.
And there was sort of a real yin and yang connection from one of my first days in high school with Cuddy. And so it was just that sort of a dark sense of humor, a dark, sometimes aggressive sense of humor that we both share and could bounce off of each other. And, one of us is bad, but two of us is torture.
Wow. I mean, you can see it even in the documentary. You can see how it was going to work. You had both of you had a drive, and you realized that you could do it with a partner, and you didn't have to do it by yourself because you had a common goal. I mean, at that point when you first started, you were more punky than that was, and that's what took you to New York.
Well, okay, I'm just going to take it back another couple of pages. Jim and his friends, I didn't play guitar when I first met Jim.
Yeah.
And I didn't sing. I was so self-conscious, you know. So Jim and his friends would sit around and play guitars and have a few drinks. And I just thought it was the best thing in the world. There was something magical about the guitar. And I always loved music and guitar music, but I just didn't play. And then when I finally learned how to play guitar and Jim and I started a band, um, my guitar chops were sort of rudimentary. Jim was a little more advanced that way. His guitar playing was better, and he had taken Gord Bellamont's uh, music theory
Oh,
course,
ooh.
and so he had an idea of the structure, musical structure of harmony and all of that sort of thing, which I still don't have. And even though I have a good sense of harmony, I don't know what I'm doing where Jim does. And so, yes, the High Fives were our first band, and we were a punky pop band.
Yeah. I could tell from your haircut, for Pete's sake. And your slouching, your attitude, and you dancing in that black and white footage of you in a club somewhere. I mean, dancing while you
Uh,
play on stage.
yeah, Jim and I both moved around a lot in the early days.
When's the last time you actually moved on stage? Really?
I figure if I get to the microphone, that's pretty good movement.
It's true.
Yeah.
Listen, I won't get bogged down in the 40 years because the documentary took care of that, and it's been well documented and in print as well. But I'll ask you a couple of things just because I'm interested in them, please. What was the best version of the band?
Well, I would say now because that's where we're at, right?
Okay, yeah,
But I look back to the original five, and that was a really great band, like
yeah.
that with Cleve and Bobby Wiseman. That was a really inventive, and it represented more of our punky pop, vibe
Because
than
you were you
this
were
band now.
you were a bar band, right?
Yes, and we prided ourselves on filling bars, making people dance, and setting liquor sale records
Yeah. Also,
across.
you could tell people like you that you had bigger and bigger crowds until such point as you actually played your first gig at Massey Hall. And I would imagine that those original audiences from the bar might have washed their hands of you at that point.
Yeah, we lost a lot of our. You lose a lot of your sort of the esoteric musical fans
Yeah.
as you become more popular. So when we first hit the stage in Toronto as Blue Rodeo, we were a hip band, and and our first bunch of records were considered hip and sort of new-ish, new recycled stuff. And so, so as you're going along, yes, you lose a lot of that crowd. And in Toronto at the time, there was this group of musical fans who were sort of punky and hip and and there were like, yeah, as I say, there were 400 or 500 of them. And any 200 of them would all be at the same shows at any given time.
Do you know what's really kind of hairy, scary about all of that is somewhere along the way of those 500, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 of them are now members of parliament or running the country or they're CEOs. That you have no idea. The rest of them maybe not so. Maybe they're just husbands and wives and family members and stuff. But a couple of them maybe running the country, and you were their bar band.
Yeah, that is funny. And I like thinking of a time when we were influential to musicians coming up.
Yeah.
Like we were like immediately influential. Like, I've had uh, noted singer-songwriter guitar players come up to me and they say, when I saw you at Mount Allison that time, and you would switch to your bridge pickup for your solo on such and such, and they
Wow.
knew what pedal and you'd press your big
Wow.
muff. I love that sound. I've been using that sound ever since. So that was all very sweet and heady.
Hey, speaking of sound, Greg, how's your hearing?
Hearing, having the COVID break was great for my ears.
Yeah.
Um, there's some meds that some doctors have given to me for sort of like brain shrinkage, just to say superficially what they do. And so they're much more resilient. And I even play a little electric guitar on stage very quietly. It's just for my own enjoyment, but it's fun for me.
We're not going to do a sidebar on a med riffs. Okay, we're not doing meds unless we're talking about gabapentin. Okay, now Canadian audiences. I think you lucked out a bit there.
You what?
I think you lucked out a bit because in New York, they probably wouldn't have accepted you with two vocalists. Like they want to pigeonhole you and who are you and what are you doing? And no, that's exactly what you should be doing. Whereas I think in Toronto and in Canada, you got to be whatever you wanted to be on stage.
We are very lucky for that. Like we came back from New York and we were pretty headstrong on what we were going to do.
Yeah.
And we had a good idea of the band we wanted to put together. And that first band was sort of that. We were big fans of a band called NRBQ.
Oh, yes.
And Terry, I think, was the name of the keyboard player. And he was I'll meet you over there. My wife's taking the cat to the vet. So Terry was a real wacko. I shouldn't use words like that. He was very advanced in his harmonic understanding, and he was all about breaking rules and playing like an avant-garde pianist. And finding Bobby was, there's times in your life when everything just sort of dovetails,
Yeah.
and your fantasies sort of manifest in front of you, and you go, how is this happening? And, we found Bobby, and he was just perfect. And, we had a rock solid rhythm section, and Jim and I love singing together and still love singing together. We love the sound of our voices.
That's what you and I have two things in common: our love of music. Jim Cuddy is a friend, me long distance, and you have to deal with him. And the third thing is that you found your audience and found your direction, and you did it your way. That's what I love about it.
Right. Yeah. When we came back, we've been playing in bands for a few years, and we sort of had made the mistake of listening to people's advice, and it left a bitter taste. And so we just sort of said, we're not doing that anymore. We're just going to stumble along in our own way and see what happens.
Does every night feel like the first night, the last night? What does it feel like?
No, I don't. There's something about every night where it's sort of timeless. When you're on the road, you're in this bus and you're traveling around Canada, and your focus is the show. Your focus is looking after your throat and your body so that you can perform every night. So for me now, it's like a healthy discipline.
Wow.
Where I have to be in pretty good shape, and my lungs have to be in good shape. And so, it is very focused on the moment in the show. And so as far as band, these days, it's very much in the moment.
You also have standards that you've set for yourselves, each of you, as a band and individually. How do you properly? This is too large a picture here, but how do you properly celebrate 40 years and those standards?
It's funny, we're not big on that, and we're at a point in our career where we're being celebrated for just being what we are, right? And so we have this documentary. We have a stamp, like that's absurd. And we have a beer. There's all these things, that just sort of follow in the wake of being around this long.
And so your response is, yeah. But I'm gonna re-ask the question. I mean, you're celebrating 40 years. Is just going on the road and doing 40 dates? Is that the way you celebrate? Okay, fine. All right.
Yeah, I don't think, since we, so much of our playing, the band, is we feel like it's a celebration anyways, like we enjoy the position we're in, and we, like, I often wonder, why did we get all these songs, right? Like, how come, and why did Jim and I get these voices that work so well together? And so there's something about the kismic and karmic nature of it that is a little overwhelming at times. It's like, what the frig is going on here?
Sometimes it's best not even to think about it because it's a rabbit hole.
Well, that's for sure. I think that's the best advice you could give to anybody is to, like, there's no point. So that's why we don't celebrate much. We're not like, like, you got your finger up like you're testing the wind on a golf.
I got all my fingers. I'm going to do this. Okay, he's Greg Keelor. He is one half of the songwriting team and the band member, vocalist from Blue Rodeo, and his own solo career, by the way. Or is it now the Jimmy Boskill band? Okay. Now you have two greatest hits packages. You also have two seldom heard packages, if I'm not mistaken. And those were chosen by the band, is that right?
Yeah, it's the management and record company. It was all sort of collaborative, but that's mostly us. Yeah.
And which tracks did you choose from Seldom Heard?
Oh shit! I don't even know what's on Seldom Heard.
Okay, what two tracks would you have put on it?
Well,
maybe we luck out.
I think one of the weird ones. I don't even know what's on Seldom. We put out like two records. I don't know what's on which.
Okay, this hurts too much.
Do you have a list of the songs there?
No, I don't.
In your professional capacity as the interviewer?
No, I don't.
So I don't know what's on it. So
all right, I'll just edit around you. That's all.
That's a great answer.
And how about you? Greg? How often do you think about your life, or do you not? Just like the songs and where they came from, do you just take it a day at a time? You not give it too much thought?
Yeah, my brain. I have a pretty active brain that can be very critical of myself.
Yeah.
So for me, I like to keep a balance on that and keep the reins on those voices, or the muzzle even, And I'm a long time yoga guy, meditative guy, all that sort of stuff. I try to keep my body healthy so that the blood going into my brain is good.
Okay.
And so I try to maintain that balance.
Don't you numb yourself with some ingestants?
Do what?
Don't you numb yourself with some ingestants from time to time?
I don't really do ingestants much anymore. I'm pretty, uh, yeah, I like smoking hash and tobacco, but not too many a day.
That's good. Listen, let me talk to you about the other half of this Blue Rodeo story, if I can, and that is the audience, the fans, the people who buy the music you make, you create, who come to the concerts, who buy everything, all the merch, whatever. They have changed over the years, but it's an entire armada of people. It's remarkable the lives that you've touched. Many of which you'll never know the stories. You'll never understand, or you can't possibly spend your life detailing it. It just is what it is. What it is. Do you when you think about when I ask you about the audience, who do you think of?
Well, I think that of the shared experience of being a band with an audience.
Yeah.
And we sort of start the first volley, but it's just oh, this is really corny. It's a tennis match of just escalating in crescendo joy and love. And so it's a back and forth thing. And as you say, I cannot get involved in the minutia of each fan's story.
Yeah.
I'm well aware that each person there has a story. And I'm aware that somehow the songs touch those stories. And when I say stories, I'm talking about the darker aspects of the psyche. And I'm just talking about, that there's a lot of trauma and tragedy in each life. And each life is searching for that joy.
Mm.
And so out of that, through the songs, there's this sort of shared catharsis. And, we feel it and the audience feels it. And I think that's why they come back and why we're multi-generational.
It's a community.
In a sense, very much. It's not like a community where you're walking down the street to the
Yeah.
to the cleaners and you see your friends, on the corner type of thing. But it's sort of a big tent community.
Can you walk amongst us unnoticed?
Do I?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I
Good.
think Cuddy's been much more visible that way, and I think he has enjoyed that, whatever that is, recognition, celebrity, where I've sort of not and sort of um, not embraced it the same way. But I think I can go a few more blocks unnoticed than Cuddy could.
I'm going to let you attend to your cat in just a second. I just got a couple more questions for you. Do you right now? You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Right now, how do you feel about Canada and its place in the world and who we are and the attacks coming?
I feel sort of great about Canada right now.
Yeah.
Um, there was much of it that I rejected at certain times in my life just because of our history with the Indigenous people of this country. And I thought that the Canadian government were just liars and cheats and um and I was sort of disappointed with Canada. But in the last couple of years,
Mm.
with the you know I'm just so sick of Trump and I'm so sick of America
Mm.
that they could do this to the world. And you see how fragile
Yeah.
a democracy is and how it has been exploited by in America by these dastardly villains, you know, like it's really being run by the mob. And you see Canada and the way the people have reacted
Yeah.
so strongly and so tightly knit that I've really felt a sense of pride in Canada in the last while, that it is a tough little country, and the people mean well. There's going to be ugly people everywhere, you
Sure.
know. What do we call the Canadian MAGAs? Do we have a name for them?
I don't even want to think about it.
But we have, there's sort of a derogatory name for 'em. But when I see Daniel Smith and I see Pierre Poilievre, and I think, well, I hope that these people are revealed for the charlatans that they are, and that the voting public don't fall for the Trump bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
That they recognize this as exploitive and manipulative, and just I Daniel Smith I can almost understand more than Polyev, because Daniel Smith is just working for her own enrichment and the cronies around her.
Yeah.
Where Polyev has got nothing, has never done anything, and he's just a sower of discontent. But I hope, and it looks like Canadians are not accepting it. Only time will tell.
I like our stance. I like the way we say, no, this is who we are. We don't really need anybody patting us on the back. Thank you so much. It's pretty good. And we're polite about it. Look after your cat. Any solo music coming? Anything of that ilk?
Blue Rodeo is going to start making a record in January.
Okay. Does that answer? Does that answer?
I'm not going to do a solo record.
Okay. So I guess that answers the last question. After 40 years, what now?
Yeah, new record. I really love the batch of new songs that I got. And, the band's playing great. I was doing a few of them at sound check, and they sounded just superb. So, I'm excited about that.
You gonna go see Rush?
I can't. My ears can't handle a Rush show. I can't sit front of house. Period.
Yeah.
But Rush would be a little hard for me to take.
Were you a Rush
I love
fan?
them, but
Sure.
my ears can't handle it.
Okay. All right, man. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Let's start with Happy Halloween, and then we'll move on from there.
Thank you. And what's your cat's name?
Gigi.
Gigi. Well, we'll dedicate this to Gigi. Thank you, man.
Beautiful.
Take care of yourself, please.
Well, you too.
Yeah.